Are we on? Board. Okay. All set? Thank you very much, Matt. Welcome to the spring school board meeting. Prior to this, we were in executive session, consulting with our attorney, doing contractual items and reviewing an item relating to a particular employee for personnel. So at this time, I'd like to call our regular meeting to order. It is 7:09. Julie, would you do roll call, please?
Sure. Barbara Davis.
Here.
Tim Frazier.
Here.
Amy Rivera. Here. Pat Frazier. And Jake Collins absent.
Okay, we can all rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We're going to start out this evening's meeting with a presentation from VBS and Far East on our capital project. We have Jim waiting with us, and Derek next is virtual, yes.
Right. Jim, would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
John, sorry.
And John, yeah, there we go.
Oh, you broke up.
Why, does that control have to stay on?
Dawn, does that control have to stay there?
Nope.
Thank you. Turn it off, Dawn. There we go. There is Dawn.
All right.
Derek, you want to start? Derek's frozen again.
Yeah, actually he is.
He's
With
frozen.
a stern look on his face. He knows the punch list is long.
Oh, boy.
I'll give him a minute and then I'll jump in if he doesn't come back.
Okay. All right.
Good evening, by the way.
When are you coming out again, Dawn?
Maybe later in the week.
Okay.
Great train ride. Eating.
Train ride.
It's very scenic.
Did you guys build it? I didn't know the railroad went to Springs.
Yes.
Oh, we have our own spur. Great.
Sorry about that.
You're back.
That's expected, Derek.
A lot of feedback. Is everyone getting that?
Yeah, we're good now.
All right. I'll make this quick. All right, good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. Tonight, I don't have the typical PowerPoint update that we usually do. It's going to be a verbal update, but we'll have a comprehensive PowerPoint report for your October meeting. So we understand that the ribbon cutting ceremony is scheduled for Monday, October 18th at 4 p.m. And I'm here tonight to advise that all the areas currently under construction will be ready for that ribbon cutting. It's been a little bit of a slow start with the remaining work areas as the GC was waiting for some materials that were back ordered and long lead items that kind of just got stuck. But the good news is they are scheduled to receive those materials tomorrow. And they're going to receive them in the morning with a full crew in the afternoon. The GC is committed to working second shift starting at 2 p.m. and working till 10:30 p.m. each day. They also committed to working Saturdays from here until the October 18th to assure that they meet that date. The GC will be providing a updated master schedule for the areas that are not completed by mid this week. Following review of that schedule with BBS and Park East, we will forward the same to the district. As I just mentioned before, the updated schedule will reflect the completion date prior to October 18th. All other prime contractors, like the electrical contractor, mechanical contractor, plumbing contractor, site work contractor, phone contractor, have also all been informed of this required completion date, and they have all committed to achieving that goal. BBS has started their punch list process for the completed areas. They will continue their process and start to issue punch lists accordingly. That way the contractors, as they're on site completing the areas that were not completed already, they could also work on their punch list items. Some of the areas that I'm referencing as far as the items that will be completed by October 18th is the main office, the auxiliary gym, the academic enrichment program room, the music room, which was the old stage, the faculty room, and some miscellaneous closets throughout. Other than those items, there are a couple materials that will be arriving late, but they shouldn't have a large impact on the opening of these areas. Some of those items are the garage doors for both the buildings. They came in bits and pieces, and they're missing some of the components to finish those. So we're trying to get a new target date for the garage doors themselves. There's a projector scissor lift that's a ways out, and that's for the new gymnasium. And then there's some replacement casework that we're waiting for that had some damage to it, and they're going to swap it out with some brand new casework. So other than some minor punch list scopes, the entire project will be substantially completed prior to October 18th. That really concludes the update, and I'll take any questions or comments.
All new doors will be in by then?
Doors?
The doors, the miscellaneous doors that we're missing, are they all going to be in by then?
They will, yep. So those are the Grain Tech doors where you have the steel doors currently. Those have shipped, and we expect those in 4 to 5 days on site. And then they have about a 4-day install, so they'll be installed well before that October date, and probably in the next 2 weeks, I would say.
Thanks, Darryl.
You're welcome.
Will all the signage be completed?
Signage?
Will the signage be completed? Yes.
Yes. I don't see any issue with the signage being completed. I don't have a physical date for that, but I will make note of that, and I will pass along to Ms. Winter and Mr. Henry that date so you have it, but it will be installed before October 18th.
That's inside and out.
Both exterior, interior.
So that means placing signs and also taking signs out, right?
Well, I think tonight you're going to talk more about the exterior signage. So I think I have to see how that develops tonight. But most of those items are kind of stock items. So I believe, we have a month until October 18th. If that is decided this evening, what direction the district wants to go, I don't see an issue with getting all that signage on time.
Thanks, Darryl.
Thank you.
Are you going to take the old sign out of here?
Tim just wants to know about the old sign in front.
The sign, we got that news today. You want to share that, John, about the sign out front? Who's taking
Yes.
it down?
Yes, I used my magic, and I strong-armed the contractor into taking the sign down for free.
Thank you, John. Can you give me a date when that's taking place?
I'm going to put it up in my backyard.
Can you give me a date when that's going to take place?
We would like for it to take place this week, but he has to just coordinate because they don't have any demolition left out there. So he's probably got, I don't know how they're going to physically bring it out of the site, but we checked it out. There's no electricity to it. It's just four simple anchor bolts. So the sign will come down very quickly and disappear. And then we just need to haul it out of there unless the district decides that they want it for some reason.
Good auction involved.
Hearing no objections, we will just recycle it accordingly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I did start working on some schematic drawings for a potential replacement sign, which we can discuss in the near future.
That's great.
All right. Thank you. And Derek, thanks for the update and the segue into the exterior signage, which is going to be my purpose for this evening. The playground and basketball court should be wrapping up within a week, and then everything out front is going to be, and the plants will start going in as well. So things are really, as nice as it looks now, it's going to really look exceptional in another week or two. So I'm excited. Personally, I'm excited to see those finishing touches, because those are the things that are really going to set your school apart from others. So with the signage, which we're going to put under the heading of car line, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see my screen at the moment.
The board also has a hand copy, plus if they have their electronic devices there for them too.
Okay, but is my map showing up on your screen? It looks like it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to just drive through car line quick, and then we can go back to any of the separate components of it. This was born from a couple of conversations, a physical. I was out there on the third day of school with some administrators, with the local police department, and physically we watched and we witnessed and we observe and we react. We react. The goal is to get your kids in the building before 8:30, and one of the only ways to accomplish that, seemingly with the volume of parent drop-offs, is to have the dual or two-lane ingress one way off of Old Stone Highway. So that's our starting point here, where we have the 2 arrows with the only and the used 2 lanes as we're coming onto campus. Why is this not moving? Just bear with me, please. It's a large file, so it takes me a little while to navigate it. If you've driven in, you know where those speed humps are. Nobody laugh about my signs. We have the speed zone signs for miles per hour. Halfway down, we would have to use 2 lanes again, with the goal being that from Old Stone Highway, there would be a single dividing line in lieu of the dual double yellow line now for both left-hand and right-hand turns into campus coming down the driveway. That's to maximize cars on site. When we get to the parking area, we're going to sign "Do Not Enter." Again, 50% of these signs are in, and 50% of these signs are a reaction to how we believe the campus circulation should occur. So some signs are currently in place. Some will be turned around to accommodate the two-way traffic, and some are new signs. So for instance, this "Do Not Enter" sign would be a new sign alerting parked vehicles that they are not allowed to go back out towards Old Stone Highway this way, that they have to follow the one-way traffic pattern down through the parking area, which would be a dashed yellow line at this point, so that cars could turn in to the parking spaces. And I'll run through this, and then we can obviously go back and discuss options here. There's various reserved parking, visitor parking. The pre-K program is in the SYA building, so we have designated parking for those folks, handicap parking for that building as well. As we come to the intersection, and that's kind of where all the action's occurring on campus, we would merge those 2 lanes at this intersection here, with where there's always going to be a human body here directing traffic, and both pedestrians and vehicles. So the turn in is the opposite hand turn now, right? So we have this crosswalk here, which brings people down the sidewalk. We're coming inbound now on the opposite side, and we're doing the circle counterclockwise. one of the things observed was that cars were not, the children weren't disembarking on the full intended length of the loop. So if you notice, we have a start, the pickup and drop off start sign, which is over here, and the end sign, which was intended to be down by where the fence is over here, so that these 10 to 12 cars or what have you disembark, and then the next set shuffles on through all the way up to the line, and then the last car over here, and that's where the last student would disembark. These folks would shuffle through, and then the next band would come through. One of the hiccups was that it seemed to get a little bit bogged down on the first couple of days of school with all the activity going on around the playground. I think as school moves on and we start getting into the cooler weather, once the gymnasium, in those first few days, the gymnasium wasn't available to get the older grades into the building. So I think we'll alleviate a lot of that congestion with, socializing and parents talking to staff and teachers and vice versa. So we want to get them out of the loop as quickly as possible. And then we come back to the intersection and there's no do not enter, no right turns. All traffic's flowing now from here out to School Street on a left-hand turn. And the day gate at Ed Holt's Lane by SYA up here would be closed, so nobody can go forward. And then during the day, all of these gates would be manipulated in a way so that people coming to campus could come into the loop, but they wouldn't be driving through over here back to School Street. They would be exiting down and through towards Ed Holt's Lane. Now, this is only on non-peak hours of drop-off and pickup. When we go back to pickup in the afternoon, the vehicles would again exit campus by measure of closing off those gates and forcing all the traffic down and through and back out the old car line route, if you will. So one of the things that has been discussed is where the merge. Yep.
You were cutting out for a bit there. So you're saying pick up from prepaid car line, is that coming through and going out to School Street?
No, pre-K would go back into the loop in front of SYA and back out towards Old Stone Highway.
Okay.
Also,
Right. That's what I thought.
So they would be, if you can see my hand, they would be coming in, driving the loop in front of SYA and then going back out. So that traffic is always divorced from the main crux of the traffic on the other side, if you will. So one of the questions was, say again?
Yeah, you froze.
Am I frozen?
You were right there.
Yeah, I think it's because of this file. I think the file is so big. Do you have me now?
We're good here.
Now he's stable and done.
You guys have me?
Does he want to sign out and come back?
Yeah, we're good here.
Okay.
It's on
Yeah,
there.
I don't think I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
Oh, you're much better,
Oh,
John.
yeah.
All right, so let me try putting the graphic back up again. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's probably the file size. All right, I'm not going to move it too much. Okay, so you can hear me, yes?
Yes.
So the do not enter sign on the right-hand side and then the do not enter sign on the left-hand side, that length of parking in there, if that were to go to a single lane occupancy for morning drop off and pickup, you would lose about 15, 16 cars. So there's been some question whether that should be a single lane travel there or a dual lane and where that merge should occur. I think once the paint goes down, this corner here has been a bit of an issue, but I think once the lines are down, people would know their vehicle position Because, I mean, that's 24 feet wide and a 50-foot radius. Vehicles should have no issue negotiating that turn there for 2 lanes coming in. So
You have the 2 lanes before the entrance to that parking lot in front of the building.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll make a big difference for a vehicle that needs a wide turn.
Um,
Are you frozen,
Can you hear
John?
us?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So, since the goal seems like to get the cars off of Old Stone Highway,
Right.
if you have the solid line there, the majority of the cars are going to be making a right-hand turn in, so we'll still be having a backup. Should that line be dashed to encourage people to use both lanes?
On the main long driveway? On this driveway here, Barbara? Yeah, that of course it could be. What we want to do is we want to discourage line jumping. You know, that's kind of the issue is the parents are going to have to police themselves at some point. You know, everybody's going to have their own agenda, who's late for work, you know, and what have you. But by and large, you know, after we get a couple of weeks into the school year, everybody should have a firm handle as to how this is functioning.
Do you think the 2 arrows is enough to show that it's 2 lanes in? And keep the solid yellow so they don't cross over?
I would personally, I would keep the solid yellow for the time being, because no matter what we do, we would have to manipulate that line. So it's a solid yellow line now. So we would be physically blacking out portions of it to make it a dashed line. So I would leave that for the next, week or so going, because remember, these signs don't exist yet, Ms. Winter, the use 2 lanes and the arrows. Right now, it's basically just people telling you to go and use 2 lanes. So I think once the signage goes up, there'll be a better understanding of how this is supposed to function.
Maybe there should just be a dashed section near the road so people have a choice of picking a lane at the beginning, and then you have to stay in that lane. You
But
can't
because
go
we
back
left
and
to the
forth.
right, that's,
Right.
What I don't understand is, I don't know, I'm naive about traffic flow. I know it's first week of school, we got a lot of backup on Old Stone Highway. We're going from a 1,200-foot driveway to 500 feet. We never had, and even before, I came out the first day of school, back always up to School Street. Is it just, nobody's not used to the new lines? Because the original intent was to have it a 2-way road. And I'm sure you did traffic studies on it, correct? And you tried to figure out the flow of this, based on the traffic we have. We don't have that many more students than we did last year. The first week of school, a lot of parents do drop off. They want to see their kids get in class. As you noticed in the last week, traffic line has gotten better. It's been flowing, right? Because today was 3:25, then it was, you got out of school 3:25 today, and you were in class by 8:30, right?
Yes.
That's 1 week without doing anything.
Well, no, they're doubled up.
They're doubled up, but how far back are they doubled up? Are they doubled up 15 cars? So
No, they're doubled up mostly by the parking lot. When the parking
when they
lot
merge
starts.
together, right? So how many cars from the merge is it double backed up? Is it double merged where they'll make the end of the road there? I understand the police departments, they want to go off the road. My second concern is I'm assuming that when you guys plan the driveway is taking some of the traffic off of School Street in front of the school to divert the secondary traffic to go out that way. It's staffing at the end of the day. Because what's happening now is, we're getting all here. The next bottleneck is right here on School Street. Anytime you drop off and a pickup, right? Because you can't make a left, you're going to make a right.
Yeah, right now the police want to keep it that way, so they're driving everybody back to Old Stone Highway.
Yeah, I understand the backup. I spent all this money to find out what we jumped the gun on it. So if there's a solid yellow line, a John, I think it's a good idea. The signs we're putting up, are they permanent or temporary signs?
They would be a permanent sign, like, a metal sign panel.
Yeah, because I just don't understand how we have a driveway that's almost 2 to 3 times longer than we had before. and we're backed up on Old Stone Highway? Is it because, like you said earlier, of course, our staff is saying hello to parents. Are we using the traffic circle 100%? The drop off zone to 15 cars at a time, or are we doing 5? I don't know that, I'm not here anymore.
But you also have COVID, and you have parents that still aren't putting kids on the bus, correct?
But it was the same problem last year, when we were in class last year.
You didn't have all the kids here.
Last year we only got 35 less kids, I believe, right?
There's only about 26 that chose home instruction.
Right, so there's only about 26 less kids that day. I'm just saying, the design for this, I think it takes time to see how it really works. I mean, I understand you want to do all these changes, but I just don't understand why we spent, money and engineering was spent on this, bigger than the top we have. We haven't increased that, we've always had a large drop off, always have. And I mean, it's not working right. We found out the first day of the cause, the staff couldn't go 2 ways down that road. Is it because the parking lines are 20 feet long, not 18? I mean, my truck's 20 feet long, I fit perfectly in those spots. All those lines, look, could they put on a diagonal versus straight to make it easy to go?
Yeah, Pat, with the diagonal lines, you end up losing a bunch of parking stalls. And we looked at that after the fact. The simplest solution is another human being out there, right? But you don't have that staff. If you didn't change any signs and you didn't change any of the traffic markings for 45 minutes to an hour in the morning and 45 minutes to an hour in the afternoon, somebody's directing you into the opposite lane of traffic to maximize on-campus utilization, So the question would become, does the district want to permanently sign and mark this for this use in this fashion to eliminate that need, or leave flexibility in having it as a directive by human beings waving you onto the other side of traffic when things start backing up onto Old Stone Highway? And there may be no answer to that tonight or even in the near future, but there's you have the benefit of what we've created, and that's, like you said, the distance and the length and the size here, right? We can do many different things. We talked about queuing in different lanes. There's endless possibilities. This is a proposal for an unmanned solution, if you will, where over time the parents would understand how to circulate on campus.
What I'm afraid of, John, is, and I think Dave brought this up too, with 2 lanes of traffic flowing through there, our parents sometimes will drop on the front of the school in the middle of traffic because the kid they're running late, or they don't want to wait on that line. I'm afraid that a parent's going to pull up there, see that right lane, not only it's backed up, but the left lane's not full. Then they swap lanes, but they're going to start dropping kids off in their car line. I can see that happening. No human person's out there telling them, don't drop kids off here. We have a crosswalk there, let's get out of the car. We saw it over here at Old Lane, where parents would pull into the SYA building, drop their kids off there and walk in. I'm looking at 2 lanes there. I'm really worried that a parent's going to drop a kid off in the middle of that road to go to school. There's nobody there to tell them not to do it.
That hasn't happened, and we are addressing those parents who are still dropping on School Street.
Right. I'm just saying, we've been trying to address this stuff for 18 years, that I know. And I'm worried about the back there, where there's nobody really directed.
There's no sidewalk, there's nothing back
So
there.
all them walk down the side of the road. They haven't done it yet, but I'm just,
Can't
And
fix
I know, Pat, you gotta, my experience with this is, you just have to train your parents. It takes a while. It takes a while to get the habits. It's all new. Give it some time, and then, but if you don't have something you can frame it with for parents, then they'll start to make their own decisions.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you put the signs out and you bite the bullet a little bit for the next month or so and have an adult out there who knows how to direct traffic in the way it's supposed to be. And then hopefully that trains the parents to do that. But you're always going to have a rogue, how you do it is be a rogue parent every now and then that's going to try to beat the system. But as long as we've done our due diligence in signage and then direction, You know, you're just gonna have a parent who's never been in Carlisle before try to come in and drop their kids off and not know what to do.
I mean, it's fine.
Ideally, I would say, you know, maybe that down the road, we have to hire for those 2 hours a day, hire someone to be out there.
You know, we're not getting spoke. I know a couple times I came by, we didn't have police presence out on, you know, out in the street on Old Stone Highway.
If it's not just, it's not police.
No, I'm just saying, the presence of that does
It's
help.
traffic officer presence, and that's not always the best option, you know, I mean, yeah, police, but
There's no right answer, but.
Do you think if we tried temporary signage and gave that a go, you know, just like real rudimentary, we print out some signs for you guys, we put them on wooden poles, what have you, wooden stakes, and see what that does as a test fit?
I would say, because we can see what's working, it seems to be working somewhat now.
It is, but I think signage is important.
But having a person there and signage is, maybe that is the way to go then, you know, and how we load the cars at Carlisle, I don't know, you know, I'm not even jumping over.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's the opportunity, Pat, is to get as many kids out there as possible. And whether that's a staff member at the beginning and at the front door and at the end, what have you, that's where you lose precious time, is that disembarking of 10 cars, 12 cars, right? Do they take a minute, right? You know, that could be 10 minutes, you know, so it's got to flow. You got to get them in and get them out.
Remember, we got started with 7:30 drop off, and we were actually telling our parents, you know, you can drop off early.
And are people using it now?
Yes.
So then we should increase the public health. Public health, in the last year we didn't have that, you know.
it just takes time.
It takes time, yeah, that's what I'm saying, I don't want to reinvent this whole wheel here. If something's gonna take time to figure out how to do it, before we do anything to it.
But we do need signs. We can't
Yeah,
just
signage
rely on
is,
somebody
yeah, when you do
to-
temporary signage and do what we need to do work. We've heard it from the men, we're married to that signage. Or we're gonna spend expense we're not needing.
But, John, we can get the permanent signage for things like the crosswalks.
Oh yeah, Deb, that's all in the contract, and that's all owed to you.
Okay.
None of that is there's no dialogue for that stuff. It's really just a reversal, or not even a reversal, the elimination of the outbound lane. That's really the only conversation here. You're still going to do opposite hand drop off through the loop, so that's all taken care of, and those signs will be ordered appropriately and changed around appropriately. It has more to do with the 2-lane signs, right? The 2 inbound lanes, as well as the 1-way signs, and that's really the only, you know, and a do not enter sign here or there. But everything else is contractual and owed to you, and the contractor has just been kind of in a holding pattern as we weigh through these things, because their subcontractor wants to come out, obviously, and do all the signing at one time, rather than 2 signs today, 2 signs Tuesday. You know, you follow. But yeah, no, all of that stuff is still required as part of this contract.
John, and I need the signage on those gates. I can't close this campus down.
Yes.
without the
Yes.
gates.
We decided today to proceed with the high visibility orange triangles for those gates. And once we get the lights turned on, that will serve to illuminate the reflectors on those signs, as well as the car headlights. So we'll be in a good place, a much better place at that point.
Thank you. I don't want to, the gates are in, but I don't want to use them until reflective, because I know what's going to happen. All right.
So, John, I know the speed hump signs are already there, they just need to be turned in the same direction, right? And the school speed limit signs are part of that too. So could you
Correct.
have a temporary sign showing using 2 lanes, say use 2 lanes and the arrows, maybe do the arrows on the end, having the arrows on the ground, both going in the same direction. I do think you should leave a space near the road so people can pull into the other lane early on, but they
Right.
can't back and forth. So
Right.
we do encourage people to be using the 2 lanes that are there, but then they have to stay in their individual lane until they get up to the merge.
You're good off.
And then we'll put the temporary signs and see how that works, and if we then go ahead and make it permanent.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Well, I'm thinking if it doesn't work, if it's necessary, if you're gonna paint it there and you're gonna put it there and almost make it like it's gonna be, then just make it the amount, don't even change it. What I wanna see is this, the way they designed it work first. So if we do have a person at the end, like Tim said, for a month or so, directed to go over the second way. Because if the design, that they designed the tent works the way it is, then we stay with it. But if you start painting lines on the thing, you have to leave that forever. Because once you do it once, it's always there. You can't change it back.
We did already and painted it out once, so.
Yeah.
So you're saying other than painting on the ground, we should do the temporary signs, have someone
Yes.
directing people
Yeah.
into both lanes down at the bottom, and then see how that goes?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it necessary to do that? But it's a bottleneck. That's my suggestion. Because we start painting lines down there and saying, well, directing people don't change, you might as well just think about it. Which, you know, wasn't the intent of this, I don't think.
How many
intent
people
of
do
this-
you have in the circle in the morning? Like pulling the cars up to unload kids?
How many staff?
Yes.
Four?
No, 6, because Josh is out there every morning, yeah, I'd say 6. There's 5 TAs that do his duty, and then he's.
How many cars, how many cars are loaded at one time?
How many
How many
are?
cars are loaded at one time?
How many are?
10 in the circle.
You mean as far as?
Yeah, do you pull 10 up and then unload?
Yeah. It's, getting people to pull all the way up is still a process, so we're working on that. It's really about procedure, getting familiar with the
Yeah.
procedure, I think, what you said.
It's gonna get better.
Yeah.
And, you know, certain kids, the little guys are all in their little booster seats, so that takes a little longer to get them out, you know, so, but it's getting better every day.
And the parents putting their backpacks in the car, not in the trunk?
No trouble.
Not the kids, the backpack. Not the kids, the backpack. I see it at the high school.
I was gonna say.
I see
The
it,
kids usually jump in with their backpacks on or jump out with their backpacks on.
you know, I see it at the high school, where the
Really?
kids pull up with their parents, and then the kid goes into his trunk to
Oh,
get his
no,
backpack. It's
no,
like,
no.
really? These are high school kids, you know?
Yeah.
The high school parents, they've done college.
I think if you all make it happen in a reasonable time, then people are gonna have their own method
Right.
of system. You can't judge that, and you can't change that. What you can change is trying to get closer and closer to flow, and people understanding what it is, and then they'll all come together. It takes some time.
John, I really want the pedestrian crossing signs, because we have a lot of crosswalks here, and literally, we can't have eyes behind our head. People are crossing every which way. They're crossing in the crosswalks, but there's
Right.
so many crosswalks.
I understand.
It needs signage.
Yep, so all the signs, if you guys can see where we are now, all those signs will be permanent signs. The temporary signs we were talking about are on the inbound stuff, and I'll get to work on getting some temporary signs for you guys and giving direction to the contractor to finalize the permanent signage, exclusive of any of the potential changes that may arise from test driving, no pun intended, the traffic pattern coming into campus.
Thank you, John.
Okay, guys, thank you. And again, you know, look, we're here to help. We're here to react to anything, you know, and you know, as Tim had said, you know, eventually this will shake itself out. We just, you know, we need reinforcement to teach and let the parents know what they're supposed to be doing in terms of driving in, because it's a bit unorthodox, you know. And I think once that's that hurdle's cleared, it'll be evident and clear to everybody.
Great, thank you very much for that, John.
Okay, thanks for your time tonight, everybody. Have a great meeting. Thank you.
I watch it every morning at John Marshall.
Did you have anything to add?
No, I just wanted
Facilities stuff?
to mention, I started to do the walkthrough of the spaces and planning for that, you know, before we're gonna bid on the ribbon cutting, just to get, you know, a better sense of where we feel the possibility of that being real is. And, you know, aside from the small gym being clustered with a lot of materials, the time we really just can't get it into what we can get done. everything else looks like it's in a state where occupying and full use should be achievable, before then. And then just finishing up those other things that are not dependent on rooms being occupied, but finishing of the outside of the building, like the metal work and that sort of thing, is now starting to happen since the materials have been delivered. So all of those metal pieces up on the roof area will be done. All the entry points into the building will all be clear. So those things are all, taking shape and happening. At the point now where, everything's on a night schedule, our push is to be on top of the contract, just to make sure to take advantage of those opportunities, whether it be on weekends, 3 o'clock, or if there's opportunity during the day to be in certain areas. They're going to need to, take full advantage of all of that in order to, make that 18th day reality. But we are actively putting together all our items that we're picking up. It's great to see that the teachers or the people that are occupying the spaces have put out on their doors what's missing, what needs to be done. That's a tremendous help. And we encourage that to continue. Even though their list is there now, it's certainly not all inclusive. Like when you get home and you realize something a month later that, oh my God, something I didn't look at, early on is now there. So we want to, have that continual dialogue, and this way, as we see it, as it gets done, we can strike it off the list. There's something else. So that's certainly encouraged. We want to make sure we get everything that they need in their spaces, what they function.
And the gym will be empty Wednesday night. You will have the gym on Friday, on Thursday.
Okay, so the other big thing in there is they didn't, we got them to the point where the floor being sanded and sealed. One coat of polyurethane went down on that floor, but they didn't do any of the striping. So that'll be, making sure the process that they did in the main gym, they come in, they put down their templates, they do a very neat, practical job making it right, and then they do another final coat to seal it, and then it's, waxed one last time. The wall painting has to still go up in the main gym and that gym. Those materials are being delivered. So that will be, in my mind, very important thing to have up for the safety of the children going into those spaces. But those things are being delivered, they go quick once they get here, so that's not a concern. It's just getting it here and seeing that the manpower is there to get it all installed. As soon as that space is clear.
I feel like there had been, I saw a picture of some cooling of some of the resin or the coating on the gym floor. Was that?
We took a look at that and it was today, so we did make note, and they'll come back and they'll do a screen over that to kind of buff that area down, and then they'll blend in a new coat in that area so that it evens out with the rest of the floor. Like I said, it tends to happen sometimes if there's any slight compression in the floor itself, but they can, they take a braiding pad and they buff over it so they can thin it out, and they put a clear coat just to even out with the rest of the floor.
And I feel like at one point there were some windows that were back ordered. That all resolved, and those are here right now already.
Windows, all the windows are in the hallways. Those were the green frame, called storefront windows, and I'm operable and fixed. But those are all in. All the double hung windows like these that were in the classrooms were in new ones, plus the existing classroom windows that were being replaced. Those are all in. There may be some hardware pieces that may be missing, but the windows are operable, and they need to be stained to match like the wood that's in the rest of the building. So that's a process that will be happening probably over a weekend or Wednesday, whatever they can get in and do that. It's a water-based paint, so a water-based stain or polyurethane, so it's not going to be strong odors lingering after they're done. Once they do the work, they'll leave the windows left open a bit, and it'll air out, they'll cure very quickly, and then there should be no lingering residue, any odor from that.
We still missing glass in the front,
And,
in the vestibule, right here, the back.
oh, okay. Some of the aluminum panels that go in those frames, I noticed were missing, and some of the actual glass panels, so
What I could go.
okay. So those should have at least a wood panel or something in them to prevent that.
It's fine because it's the inner door.
Yes.
The outer door has the glass, but the inner
Oh,
door,
the inner door doesn't.
no one to forget about.
Okay. You know, maybe we'll way out and make a few more things, but, you know, we are going to be issuing our list of the contractors sometime early, you know, next week, so if they have something to start on, and that this is going to continue to grow. Just, you know, we're letting the contractors know that these rooms, even though we're walking through and we're identifying that as if you can take care of, there's still things that aren't even in place, like the doors that are going to be switched out for the new doors. We have to come back and review those, make sure they got, you know, installed properly and aren't missing hardware. So each space has things that still haven't been done contractually, so we'll be reviewing it once again once everything's done. But we'll at least give the contractors the work scope they need to realize they need to bring people out here, not like one or two things to get done. There's plenty of work that needs to be done. And that's, you know, that's all the contractors, not just the general contractor. It's the electrician, definitely, you know, mechanical guys doing a lot of work, plumber, maybe not so much, but, you know, there's still things to address as well.
You said that the administrative office has the face of sales on the walls all over the
So we were on the walkthrough, we brought to the space, we brought to the attention that the contractor, for whatever reason, didn't pick up on the direction to bring those walls up to the ceiling. They were going to offer credit to leave them where they are, and we wanted to analyze, you know, what the validity of that dollar amount was. Contractor never came through with a breakdown of how they came up with that number. We felt it was a little bit more than what they were quoting, so we were going to wait to see what they were coming back with. And they never came up with anything, so we gave them a deadline. They didn't meet the deadline of providing that information, so we thought they're going to have to go as per plan and extend those walls up as directed.
And can you still hear me? This is Derek with Park East.
Yes.
Yeah, so that material is part of the material that's arriving tomorrow to extend the walls up above the ceiling, and that process will start tomorrow evening and be installed as Jim indicated as per the approved change order. The wall padding for the gyms is scheduled to be installed at the end of this week for both gyms.
So I know we have a few change orders here in finance. Can we just go over these now while we've got you guys here? That's fine.
And do you want to go over the financials related to the project so that
Yeah.
we have Derek here?
We definitely had questions about the security camera flow.
Just the one for change order.
Change.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Forerunner Technologies.
We had JVR Electric, and then the A Plus Technology and Security. I feel like for the security one, Derek, we understand that there was only one bid put in.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? It was broken up a little bit.
So for that process that was done through a state contract, or items that were available for contractors to get with
We're talking about A Plus Technology?
Yes.
Yeah, it's off of the state contract. I've got the contract number referenced here, PT 68745SB. It's what the Office of Government Services contract. And we're committed to use that instead of in lieu of going out formally to a bid.
Right. Does this seem within the ballpark of this? Because it seemed like a little high looking at the cost of the materials versus the cost of the labor. I don't know.
I did check a lot of the prices against the contract with the state, and they're spot on, even if they, with the state awarded, as far as the cost is concerned.
But it's mostly labor.
It's mostly labor.
Right. You know, they're, when these companies submit their bid or they vote for the state for this particular work, they have to lock in, you know, a labor rate and a, you know, material costs, so when these projects get let, it's bid amongst a group. 18 companies will submit their quotes on that particular package of items, and the state will select, you know, the one that's the low bidder with the most best qualification, you know, for providing that service.
All right, so this is something that we put out to bid and only one person responded.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I think.
These are the security cameras outside.
Right, okay.
Mike, you want to just go over these, so if there's any other questions?
Yeah.
Start with the forerunners.
Yeah, Forerunner, we need additional parts, labor for the paging interface. We had originally talked about putting the phones in the classrooms and having the ability that we could either page into that one room or that one room could page out to the principal's office or the main office. And when we saw the handsets on the wall, they didn't have that ability. So in order to add that in, it's going to cost, that's one of the items in there that's driving the cost.
In addition,
There's an additional PoE switch for the phone system itself, additional parts and labors to re-terminate existing network cabling onto the 48 loaded patch. We had a group of wires that ran from the server closet all the way along the front hallway that served not only network cables, but phone cables. And when they opened up the wall inside, those wires went down through the floor, but they were out in the middle, in the way of the opening. So they had to be rerouted, they had to be cut, new lines had to be run, they had to be punched down at one end and terminated at the other end. And it was labor intense, so it was part of this additional cost of $9,371.78. And that uses up almost the entire allowance on that contract. JVR. They're proposing a change. This is not an allowance, it's an actual change order for $3,099.37. Provide additional labor and materials for power feed, proposed electrical panel in area A, which is behind us here. And the E&L classroom conference room and server room. So apparently there wasn't quite enough power going into that area, so they had to add more lines of more power to that area. And the actual wiring, running it, and I think part of it had to do with the lift, the handicap lift, to do that extra work. So they're asking for a change order of $3,099.35, which will increase their contract to $1,988,088.18.
Anybody else have any questions about those or Derek?
No. That's a bit of a footnote. That been graded off yet? That been graded off, I meant the footnote.
No, I looked at it today, it's still showing there was some low areas in there, and then
We spoke with the contractor today, Land Tech, about the courtyard. Well, there's two different courtyards. So the existing courtyard is the responsibility of Stalco. They're coming in next week to grade and seed, and Land Tech, the end of this week, is doing the new courtyard.
The new club, are they just grading it off, Derek? What are they doing?
The new courtyard, I believe they indicated they're aerating, top dressing, and seeding. We spoke with the district to get some temporary irrigation or just sprinklers out there just to keep the seed wet so that you get a stand of grass this fall.
there a fee to that additional sprinkler system? Is there a fee to that?
Oh, yeah, this is not an automatic system, this is gonna be
Like a hose.
old fashioned.
One that you put on your front lawn.
Is there a spigot even in that courtyard?
I believe there is.
Yeah, and look, I
I
don't.
thought we talked about putting something other than grass in there because of the maintenance.
Right.
We
Right,
asked
so
for
we have
somebody to design something.
Right, so we're working on a proposal to show up what
Synthetic,
alternatives
I
there are.
was thinking synthetic grass, I don't know what about it.
Yeah, no, we have an idea of what would be, useful product in there, something that would be suitable for that, enclosed area, and we're, getting some samples together, some, product data so we can share it, our next meeting, so we can see cost, materials, and explain how it works and where it's been used.
Should we hold off on seeding and watering that until we?
I don't think so. I think.
I would say.
I think you see it to hold the mud down.
You got, yeah, you got.
You're gonna maintain that soil, so you find what we do, because if we start on the synthetic soil, we're probably not gonna do it in the middle of the winter.
Right.
We're gonna do it in the springtime.
Yeah, we think we work to look at. See if they're doing it elsewhere.
Who's gonna chase sprinklers, Mike?
We'll figure it out.
I have one additional update regarding something that came up with the finishing of the gym floor. So there was some pooling of that finish. Stalco has committed, they were just waiting for the small gym to be emptied. So when the guy came out to refinish that small gym, he would repair the new gym flooring. So with that being said, that it was going to be emptied by Thursday, Friday-ish, they're planning on scheduling the new finishing of the existing gym and the repair of the new gym for this Saturday. That way it gives it a whole day of Sunday to cure, and it's ready for students on Monday.
When will the playground be ready for students?
I believe they did, there was a little bit of vandalism last night. I believe they repaired that today. I don't know 100%. I'm going to follow up with Ronnie after this meeting, make sure that's the case, and I'll give you a completion date tomorrow if that works.
Derek, do you know what the vandalism was exactly? We never saw it. I never got pictures.
It looked like to me, and I'm taking my best guess, it looked like maybe someone with cleats on, and it looks like cleat holes. So I don't think it was intentional necessarily. I think maybe a student hopped the fence that had cleats on, and it just punctured the rubber. That's my best guess at it, but it is repairable, and I believe it was fixed tonight.
Derek, could you ask John Longo what kind of signage he recommends for that playground? Like, are there rules? No cleats, no,
Yes, I will definitely ask him. The reason the cleats did it this time is because it wasn't cured when they went on it. So if it was cured, I don't think the cleats would have damaged it, at least the way that it was damaged this time. But I will speak with John Longo and get some signage, what he recommends.
Yeah, what's the normal signage on a playground like that? Because you're not going to keep kids out of it, even, with a gate.
No problem.
Very easily.
Well, if there's a gate to walk, they're not gonna leave the sign.
You have to bring out a gate, you have to at least put something there,
Yeah.
so that people know.
Yeah, no way else, yeah.
And no cameras out there for that?
Not yet.
Not yet, but that's part of tonight is the cameras, as well as the lighting. We said we would keep the lights on. We don't have the timer yet, but we would keep the lights on until like 11 o'clock to help deter people
So you're
being
gonna have
out
to be
there
manually turned on and off.
until we have the automatic on.
Or maybe just educating the kids. I mean, they haven't had a playground like this here before. I'm sure they're not even thinking.
Right,
So,
no one-
a
Yeah,
full
no,
announcement as to what we be careful with. Right?
Yeah, and I think, John Lange left us too, we have to talk about that spinner. I think the comment has to go.
Too many kids are falling
Too
off
many
and get
kids
hurt.
are not only falling and getting hurt, but they're getting sick.
Oh, no.
I can't do anything that spins, so I can't even watch them out there.
We Maybe we could put it something to slow it down.
Hook it up and provide electricity.
And you know, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
There you go, you got an
There you
idea.
go.
Yeah.
Get ready to it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Great
much.
night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
He was out here a long time today.
Thank you.
Get home safe.
He didn't go, yeah, he went fishing or he went away?
So I was at the Cape Cod for a couple
Is that
of days.
something that-
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're talking
Good night, Jim.
about it. Yeah.
It's like at National City Park, have you ever been there?
Mashed potato farm? What's that?
Yeah, you spin on it, it makes you brain like mashed potatoes.
This one spins a lot tighter.
Yeah, yeah, depends on the angle. I just keep that one, I think I look at it, forget about that one.
Yeah, it's, pretty brutal, we gotta take it off.
We can see if we can put some.
Somebody flew off and broke their glasses and.
They're loving it. They're loving everything.
Well, the wheel of death, very well. Well, be mounted, spin it as fast as you can.
The rusty metal.
Yeah, and the pebbles around it?
Hanging off.
I got a couple scars.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
So it's time for public commentary number 1 on our items of board business, which are personnel, finance, and policy. If anybody has a question about any of those items, Matt, if anybody with care wants to call in with a question, we will take a moment to wait for that.
You have 0 callers so far.
Okay. Then let's move along to personnel.
Hey. As part of personnel, I will say that our enrollment is climbing. 45 new registrants just in this past week alone. Many of them are email students. Ron Aloja was an email teacher last year, if you recall. We held off on appointing her until we saw what our numbers were, and there's a definite need there for another email teacher for there. We put on all of our conferences. Ms. Clary may or may not attend the conference in Sadie due to the ribbon cutting on the 18th, but it's there just in case. Conference for the school business management, that's Mike and Julie. That's for November. The conference for myself, I lead Saturday for the New York State Council of School Superintendents, and that's in Saratoga. That's grant funded. Unfortunately, I think New York State School Boards in Manhattan is off. It's virtual. Mr. Hilton hasn't reopened there. Conference for Lycea is right here in Montauk. That's for Jim Turner and myself. And that's Title 2A grant funded. And you have an appointment of Debbie Coy, science substitute, very similar to our library media specialist. There is a growing number of vacancies in science. We're working with Stony Brook University right now, who, interesting enough, is considering the same thing we did for the library media specialist, where they're able to do their students in the field and get paid as long as you give them a mentor. So Devin stepped in right now as a substitute, but we may have a more permanent solution that's very similar to what we did last year or 2 years ago. There's some substitutes there. Veronica Messina is the only certified sub. The rest are uncertified, and we're grateful to have them back. Most of them are individuals that have been with us. All of them are individuals that have been with us. We're rescinding the appointment of John Collins, custodial worker. This gentleman did not start working with us. So we're rescinding the appointment, but we can replace it. Jessica Mendelson is helping us out with quick pay. We know anybody who's looking for a TA position, working for Scope. There's still an opening there. Christopher Murray is the custodial 1 worker, been recommended tonight to replace John Collins. Share your extracurricular stipends. The only thing that I left off of this list are several where we had multiple people apply. So the administration will be researching will introduce individuals we can make recommendations for the next meeting. The P&L coordinator position is Title III funded. The New York State Student Mentor Coordinator is Title IV funded. We left off the middle school play right now. We have time on that, so you have your opera, which we're excited about. I think there's a recommendation there. Ms. Cleary to move the fourth grade opera to fifth grade. And doing, Cleary did the research. It was a teacher that was a fourth grade teacher that recommended fourth grade.
Originally, yeah, that worked predominantly with fourth graders, and so when they went to the center for training all those years ago, like 23, 24 years ago, they focused on fourth grade, but the program doesn't come to fourth grade. So I think the directors of the opera had a really nice suggestion. Keep the consistency, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, so they would do the opera in 5th grade. And they're a little more ready to take on the independence of the opera, and then go into middle school play 6th, 7th, and 8th, possible. But also give our kids who missed the opera a chance in 4th grade, a chance to have it. Something to consider.
K-8 math coordinator is Title I, and the SEL coordinator is Title IV funded. And right now you only have one Lego Robotics coaching. We'll see what our in that program. That's your personnel.
Any questions?
I know we don't get involved in the album, you know, that's what I don't do. But, you know, I don't know about the work.
Yeah, because we're just appointing people for the position.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah.
Thing they're doing, so yeah.
I know it's not all anything people want to do.
Correct.
I'll put it on the work session then.
Yep. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to move personnel items A through K to consent agenda? Second? All in favor? Aye. Our finance information.
First item is the revenue status report, which you received in your packets. Item B is the budget status report, and both of those are for the 2 months, July and August. So you received both of those in your packets. Going to 6, item A is the warrants for the month of August. Item B is the claims audit report for the month of August. Item C is the tax anticipation note resolution, which is rather lengthy.
Does it have to be read next?
I don't think so. I think you do consent. Item D is the ban anticipation note for the purchase of the buses that was approved by the voters. Okay, another lengthy wordy one. Item E is the allowance authorization for 400 technologies. Item F is the change order number 5 for JVR Electric. Item G is the camera quote for A+ Technologies for the security cameras around the parking lot. And that's it for the finance items in the category section.
Any questions on finance items?
I do, like on the claims order, our claims order. Just want to see, says here, there was no purchase order on record for Strawberry Field of $800.
How much?
$800.
You don't happen to know that, Julie?
Strawberry field?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was for the graduation flowers. It was done through organization knowledge. So we usually use a local flower vendor, but this was done to rent the flowers, not knowing how and they're by our graduation. So we ended up using them so instead of doing the first order and in fact we paid them. But it was for 8,000 for the flowers for the graduation, it wasn't a budget.
No.
Yep, we just ended up using a different vendor, usually we put it on for a local vendor, but we use somebody else instead.
So this purchase order is normally on the process now?
Yeah, we create the purchase order usually closer to graduation, but we ended up liquidating the purchase order we were intended to use and ended up paying
No, I saw you call it, so actually, 4,000.
Yeah.
Just-
Yep.
Do I have a motion to move finance items A through D consent agenda? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, coming into policy, we have our second read and adoption of our code of conduct. Do we have any more input on that? No. And also second read and adoption of the district school safety plan. Do I have a motion to move policy items A and B to consent agenda? Second. All in favor? Aye.
I mean, next step is the printing of them.
And then this code of conduct, is that getting distributed to all students? Printed or
It's electronically.
electronically?
Advise on parent portal.
Okay.
When parents will link it.
Are parents required to look at it?
Yes.
And do some sort of
They
acknowledgement?
can't access it for plans or others. And then the safety plan has to be uploaded to the New York State website as well. And there is a public version and then there's a private version.
Great. Very.
Right. Good evening. So it's been quite a whirlwind over the last couple of weeks. But in a very good way. There's been so much activity in and around the building and on the grounds, obviously. But we were able to welcome back our staff first on the 7th and 8th for Superintendent's Conference Days, which was lovely. It felt like a long time since we had all seen each other, and I think everybody was very happy to see each other. Again, we were able to have Superintendent's Conference Day out on the new blacktop, which became the basketball court. So that was fun. And we were able to do some teacher training and gave the teachers plenty of time to get their learning spaces ready to go, because there was more furniture to be moved and more cleaning to be done and books to be unpacked. And so everybody really chipped in and helped one another, and it was really nice to see that. By the 9th, we were ready. We opened the doors to our families and our kids, and the kids were ecstatic to be back. Even despite the rain that day, it was a very, very dreary day. They were very happy and all smiles, and despite the fact that we really couldn't use the playground or the new gym, because of the weather and because the gym floors were still being done, they were so happy with that. And just checking in with every single classroom and they were just extremely happy. So that was enough for me. So it's been nice to see everybody utilizing the outdoor space now, the playground, the fields look beautiful, and the practices are happening out there. And recess, now we have much more space to spread out. Having the 3 designated lunch and recess periods that helps with that as well, which helps with social distancing. And everybody's been re-engaging the kids in academics. The SEL component of it, but also the academics. And it's been wonderful. There's still some technology that needs to be hooked up in some of the classrooms. But the teachers, again, their flexibility, their patience, they've been amazing. And the only drawbacks, I would say, are grows, if you will, where the car line arrival and dismissal weren't as soon as we would have liked them to be, opening up. But again, we've seen big improvements there, and we'll continue to put people on the job and make sure that everybody's safe. And that was it. Everybody seemed safe and happy, and we'll just keep rolling along. So once again, despite all odds, spring school pulls through.
We always do.
Yeah, we always do.
Have you had any feedback from the kids with new things that they've noticed, like the gym or the
Oh.
music room, or is there any?
Well, it was really nice to see most of the teachers took their kids, whether they were little guys and gals or older kids, for a tour of the building. So I got to sort of peek around at that, and they were, jaws were open. They're like, wow, like they just couldn't believe it. And what's really nice too is we're having some of our elementary students actually use and in the technology lab with Mr. Cole, and they think they are so grown up and like they're college students because they're able to use the technology lab, you know, like the big kids do. And the gym, of course, that goes without saying, they're in awe of the gym. They're just thrilled. And the playground, they love it. They love every minute of it. We started a playground calendar and it's already full. It was full the first day, the playground calendar. So it's been good. I personally speaking, I'm overjoyed. And I feel that from the kids.
I mean, I feel like we're so aware of the things that aren't done.
Yeah,
But
they
come
don't
in,
see any
they
of that.
might see some stuff around,
They
but
don't see any
they
of
see the
that.
new stuff and it's like. yeah.
Their classrooms look beautiful, you know, they have all these new things to explore and utilize, and they're thrilled, they're very happy.
The staff is very happy.
The staff is very happy. I think just there's a couple of things that need still to be finished. We still have some prohibited areas that we can't use for instructional space, but again, everyone's been sharing and everyone's been helping each other out. So overall, yes, I think, how could you not be on this facility? Sorry?
For 9:30 schedule.
That's working out really, really well. Again, just the lunch and recess alone, we have less people out at the same time. We were able to get everything covered with lunch monitors and recess monitors. And everybody seems to like the extra planning time that they had as well, since they weren't able to really, that's always, time is always the enemy. So the teachers are really enjoying the collaboration and the time they have during the day to plan for instruction. So overall, the 90 period is working very well. And attendance has been 96% since we opened, 95 and 96%. K through. Yes, not bad.
All right, Deb, do you want to tell us about the enrollment of?
All right, what do you call it? The grows and spring school grows. All right, so if we look at last year and we take out the homeschool children, because you're right, that we had a lot of homeschool students last year. To take those out, in 2021, we had a total of 640 students with pre-K. Today, our enrollment is at 707 with pre-K.
Good pre-K.
Pre-K is at 40 students right now. And they're very happy in the back. I attended their open house, just kids open house, and what a team they have back there. But we still are short one teacher assistant program, band-aiding it every day. So you never see it. My concern is definitely for another teacher. What you don't see here, and I did your numbers on the side again for the class size averages, which look very good, but when you get into 8th grade and 7th grade where you have accelerated classes, that's where the numbers get a little unbalanced. So the administration is looking at some children that we may not have been aware of that could go into the accelerated classes, hoping to reduce that number. So when I say the average class size is 25, it could be 27, 28 in the non-accelerated class, because that accelerated class is at 19 students. So it throws that average class size off. So that's something we're keeping an eye on. The other thing that's not going to make my friend next door to me very happy is your high school enrollment is up by 18 students.
Wait, I thought it was up by 9 students.
That was the week before, Barbara.
So 18 students that we had planned on having at
Correct.
high school
Yeah.
are now.
We anticipated maybe 6 or 7
Was
difference.
all is 335 now?
That's a myth.
I'm looking at the sheet, that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Well, 356.
356 total.
That was six,
We had planned on 338, I think.
Yes,
And that
338.
included cushions of about 7 students. So we wiped out the cushion and went beyond.
So this green line here says complete total, that says 335, but over at enrollment 2021, it says 356.
Yeah.
So what's the difference there?
But that doesn't include it is with the homeschool children, but that's not accurate. 329, that was last year with the homeschool students. This is 356 this year.
Was 329 with the,
329 last year
with the homeschool?
without the homeschool, 335 with the homeschool kid last year.
Okay, so that green is
Oh, I got
last
you.
year.
It's last year.
Oh, gotcha, okay. So right now
We're at 356, and that, in order to look at this really closely, we have already, your last board meeting, you approved Tina Giles to do home visits. Home visits are going to be made to students that are what we call doubled up in homes. So we will be doing more of them. She's already done for us already. And we will look closely at the high school attendance. So remember, students can be dropped, especially if they're 16, 17 years old and non-attendance. 20 similar days? For non-attendance, they get dropped.
And assuming all of those 18 extra students are regular ed, it's going to be about $400,000 more.
Right, so they go with the financial impact on that next month.
You should see it when we get the first bill from East Hampton.
Well, can we try that? We kind of figure out, we got 18, what percentage is it? 9%, we're talking about 12% is, that's what, that's the average low down. Average students up at the high school, 12%.
You talk about the hybrids?
Yeah.
Special ed.
Special ed, the hybrid.
There's about 12 special ed. There's about 12 special ed and about 24, I think it said, right?
Yeah.
Of the hybrid kids.
And you put more in hybrid.
So I put more in hybrid, but I'm figuring this $400 or so $1,000 extra is only if they're all regular ed.
Right.
If any of them are special ed, that number's going to climb.
Right, and what will we find that out?
When we get the first billing from East Hampton, it tells us how they bill for each of the students. Because we get a full roster, every student and what their services
Is that a
are.
monthly bill?
It's a monthly bill.
Monthly,
So
I'll be
next month
looking
you'll
at it.
have that?
I'm sorry, I didn't
By
hear.
next month you might have that?
Yeah, I mean, they don't fill it out until after September 30th comes. So it takes them probably close to a month before we see the bill after that.
We got that, then we go look at the classroom size for the upper grades, if you have the month of the classroom. Right? And do we have, with COVID, can we fit 29 kids in a classroom?
Right.
Is it legal?
It's legal, as long as you can do 3 feet. It's legal.
Do we have rooms?
Those new rooms are big. They're
I was
nice.
saying, we can legally fit them in now.
Yes, oh, yes.
Now, do they need extra help in that classroom?
Some do, some don't.
But the 20 students, would it be simple, would it be helpful to have?
Yes.
Something in it?
Well, that would be
That's not-
easier than making another section, because then you have to reschedule.
We can talk about,
Yeah, you would have to reschedule, and we don't have enough staff members to add another section.
28 kids in a classroom is not close. I mean, especially at, so, here in the past, it's been lower than that, but it's certainly, there have been times when there's been 28, 29 kids in a classroom. So it's not something that is illegal or beyond the
No, let's say it's
contract.
illegal.
It's not ideal, but it's, you have to look at the money, and again, with these high school students, you're gonna have to relate.
That's what I'm saying, there's all these different numbers that come into play.
So you're gonna have to prioritize.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was asking for.
Can you talk a little bit about the fact that there are times where there are 2 teachers in the room, not the inclusion class, but that they're pushing in?
Yes, so one of the advantages of the 9:30 day is that we're able to utilize the staff that we have currently in junior high for a small group collaboration period. Each junior high teacher has that built into their schedule. So there will be one period in every child's schedule, it's in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, where there are 2 teachers, at least 2. And if it's a co-taught class, there's 3. So that's for like maybe an ELA period, and you have 2 junior high teachers that are teaching small group and doing some acceleration. So we're trying to be creative that way. Are you talking about adding sort of like a TA or
Well,
like?
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
your job. I mean, well, you know,
We're
it's,
just
it's,
watching
what I'm
it.
looking at, you know, we're most of our local class, 20,
Yeah.
15,
They're
13.
gonna figure that.
Yeah, no, they are. And it'd be just nice to, I don't know if we get to, but just, you know, something to discuss. At the work session, or this work session, you know, as we go through the year, parents are going to ask questions. And whether they ask those questions, open house.
I think the critical part is how you monitor. I mean, it's like, anytime you put more adults in the classroom, how we run it, how that's managed. That happens.
I mean, we're just watching the situation right now. There's a couple of grade levels that we keep getting more kids at that grade level, but there's people that are also moving out, and like you said, we're really looking at maybe offering our accelerated program to some students that might not have, you know, wanted to jump right in at the beginning of the year, but maybe are feeling more ready and more confident now. So that would even out the sections.
Yeah, the way you look at this section here, you got 7th grade, 25 section.
Yeah.
But that's not really true.
Right. That's the average, but that's not the actual makeup.
That's,
So you might have,
and so it's misgiven, I misunderstand it. You're looking at this sheet. There's something you talk in the work session about how you actually break it down.
Well, that's
Because we also
why
have the high
I'm pulling
school
it
on
to
too.
your attention, Pat,
Right, I know
because
that.
it says 25 here, but that's if you took the number and divided it by 3 sections. But because of the, you know,
The other programs
class,
that are out there, so that's how it's so tight, and it's not really problems. But if we look at, if I look at the numbers, it's only information I have. We're looking at high school numbers, 18 additional students, 400,000, probably 600,000 by reality of it. That makes a difference in our budget, you know, how we're gonna spend our money there. Right?
yes,
Because you're looking at a lot of, you know, a lot of things that ultimately, they're finding money somewhere. You don't have to pay dollars, how much money you find, you don't have to spend funds, do you?
but also remember, we also work very hard with East Hampton, so that we have a 5-year projection.
Yeah, we know what the tuition rate's gonna be.
That
You
was
don't know what it's
huge.
gonna be, but we can expect to have.
It's the unknown.
Additional 45 students addition this year, and I think it's gonna get better.
It's gonna put us in a tough position, especially coming up this next budget, we've gotta go with these higher numbers. But something's gonna give somewhere else unless, you know, we can increase the tax levies.
Well, I just think we need to get all the information together. And
Yeah. Well, we're fair, which is thankful, we well, it's all up. Proactive, reactive.
Okay, Deb, thank you for that. Old business.
Ribbon cutting. So we postponed the ribbon cutting, which was supposed to be tonight at 4 o'clock. We would have had a beautiful day. And we're proposing the next Board of Ed meeting, which is October 8th. And they're assuring me we're gonna be ready. Mike and I were on the call with them today. How many times did I ask?
Yeah, I lost count.
So that's what I'm proposing. I think the 4 o'clock before a board meeting really works. The invitation is really all set to go. I can send it out to all of you. Syntax helped us draft that, so I can send that out to the, like, yeah. And, community open house. That was originally planned for October 2nd, a Saturday. We're thinking we should push that back after the ribbon cut. But we wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think that should be up in the air. I mean, I can't, we don't know what's gonna happen. It's something where you have people who have no control over whether they've been vaccinated or not, in the school environment. Where they choose to wear a mask or not, it's gonna be up to them. I'm not, look at even back to school night, having parents come in and building, have reservations about that, and even with parent-teacher conferences.
Well, that's why they're on for discussion.
Yeah, I really think we need to discuss about maybe the virtual is going to be very successful. And at this point in time, not knowing what the next couple of months will look like, when the rest can, you can coming in, not vaccinated, who probably don't want to wear a mask.
Well, I will say, your parents want to see the building.
I understand that, but
So, if we don't do like a true back to school night where they go into the classroom teacher, I would not mind being here on a Saturday and allowing people to come in and see the building at least.
Can we do a virtual
Another
tour?
thing.
I mean, real estate
The
companies
kids
do
tour.
virtual house tours.
We could get our friend, right back, but I have to say, I've been on Caroline almost every morning, and they can't wait. These are your taxpayers.
absolutely, but at the same time, we gotta think about the thing.
How do you have to figure out small groups? Everybody would have to be masked. There'd be no option about that. I mean,
No, they enter a school building, that's the math.
Yeah.
So you want to put the community open house off, or do you want to open the building? No.
Let's
We discussed, what's our next work session?
October 5th, 4th, I think.
That's 2 weeks.
What?
right?
Fourth.
There'll be some more stuff coming up
Okay.
and discussing, there's less time to think about. You think about how we want to do this. Regularly, the public wants us to do.
And your rates are going up in Suffolk County, so that'll be also a chance to figure out.
Those barbecues on the first, PPA.
Now, here's the homecoming / barbecue concept. So you would like to do a homecoming, invite the students that didn't
Similar
get
to your
recognized?
coaches and the students who were not able to be recognized in 2020 for their achievements. Do some awards, watch the game. There's a girls soccer game, home game that day. It's the first home game on the new field. And then the PTA wanted to sell hamburgers and hot dogs, and just everybody would sell spirit wear, and everybody comes and hangs out outside, watches the game. And
As long as you're outside.
Yeah, outside, and our numbers will be much lower. We're not doing things free barbecue.
Not the free bar.
Bring food from home.
yeah, yeah, we have to take this all outside.
Okay. Friday night,
Friday night?
early though.
4 o'clock the game starts.
Yeah, I guess it'll be outside.
Depends on when the other team gets here.
And if it's not outdoor
There's
game,
kids that are fortunate to get on a bus ride for the away games.
they plan to sell food during the game, is that
Yeah.
correct? Did they sell food during the game, or is it after the game? Just wanted to know all that, did they sell during the game? or
I
after
think
the
it's during the game.
During the game.
Yeah,
game?
and there's some logistics that haven't been worked out. We just met with Ashley about that the other day, so I think there's still some details.
That sounds like a good plan. And then back to school night.
Tables for now.
Talk about that on October 4th.
I know that. that-
And parent-teacher conferences, we definitely going to work virtually again.
Yeah.
Well, it sounded like you had good representation.
Yeah,
We did.
I think you probably have better.
You have dates on that?
And
Yes,
that-
November 18th and 19th.
That's not really the time for people to come and view the building.
No, the parent-teacher conferences, I think they'll be fine with virtually. I think it's just trying to figure out an opportunity, I'm sure what they did is they took their 2-hour block and they did them by letters of the alphabet. So like my stepdaughter was like almost like at 7:30 at night rather than a 6 o'clock start. They were only inviting one spouse, not both parents, just one.
For back to school night.
Yep, but they rotated, like every 15, 20 minutes, there was another group of alphabet, last name, my last name, that came into the class.
So,
It's a lot of traffic. Yeah. And that wasn't a new school either. But it was just that face-to-face interaction, get to meet, the teacher.
I know, but you're gonna have people all over this stuff.
Any questions on any of those items? All right, it's time for public commentary number 2. If anybody would care to bring a question or concern to the board, we will be entertaining your comments. So have 3 minutes just to share something with us if you so desire. Anyone here or anyone, there is a phone number available on LTV.
You have 0 callers on this end.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, how about now?
Well, before adjournment, maybe, we had brought up about.
We actually do have 1 caller holding.
Oh, right. We're ready.
Welcome.
Would you like to take it?
Yes, please.
Okay, give me 1 second. Unmuting 7333. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. This is Monique Sullivan.
Hi, honey.
Can you guys hear me? Hi. It was a little hard to hear on the sound tonight, but I just had a question about the traffic flow. What if there's an emergency situation where an emergency vehicle has to come in? If you're using both of those lanes, I just don't see how somebody would be able to get in to the school if they needed to. Also, I'm just concerned about how teachers are getting out if you have an appointment after school or you have to pick up your kids or whatever. If you have to leave, you know, right on time there, it's going to make it very difficult if you have 2 lanes going in the same direction.
Thank you for calling in. I know that for emergency purposes, they have Ed Holt's lane available, so any emergency vehicle can get to the school.
And today, we were down our line at 25 after.
Okay, great. And then I know they were saying, too, that they just didn't want to have the pre-K traffic interrupt that, but pre-K is gone by the time that all happens, so I'm not sure how that traffic interrupts what we have going on.
The pre-K is totally separate. There's no
Right, they said
interaction.
they didn't want to involve the pre-K traffic with our traffic, but the pre-K traffic wouldn't really be an issue at all anyways. They're dismissed at a completely different time, so I just didn't know if that was like another way of allowing access or having people leave.
I understand what she was saying because he started to talk about the pre-K traffic and how it was going to rotate around that little loop there in the front at the same time as he was talking about the double lanes. So it sounded like you were going to be bringing traffic in from that. I understand it now, but between him breaking up and his chart, his structure, his whole thing there, it was a little confusing. And I don't know if Monique thought it was the same thing.
I think it's a time issue more than anything else.
I
the sound was a little
now.
off, so it's hard to hear, but.
Yeah, and because he was breaking up so much, it was very difficult.
The pre-K is totally separate, and our staff who need to get out right away, I have seen them park over by the SYA and not have a problem, but I've been physically out there, and today was a perfect example that there were no cars on Carline, and then they do not have to go through the loop to go out. Usually a security guard is there and lets them go straight out to School Street.
Okay, yeah, if it ended at 3:25, that's great that it's moving along so quickly, so that's good.
Yeah, not a problem.
So that would you say that the staff will be letting the staff out go to hit all 3?
No, they go out to School Street.
Right, they just don't go through the loop. They just
go,
and make that left
yeah.
and let them walk when they follow the rest of the cars out the school.
Yeah, and our security guards know all the teachers.
No, I thought you
I even let a parent go through, I recognized her that she got caught up in that when she picked up her kid for the nurse.
Right.
Her timing was just lousy. It was, it was a late call. But I saw her and I let her through. And she thanked me because she wanted to get her picture back.
That's even more fun.
Thank you.
It is.
Thank you.
Marie.
Matt, do we have any other callers at this time? Okay,
All right, no additional callers.
okay, we'll take one, that's great, thank you. So, if anybody else have any questions about anything?
Well, the question from already, when we met this weekend about changing the dates for the board meetings.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, I see that they're all listed here at the end of this agenda. So whether it's appropriate to talk about it, probably at the work session. I just wanted to mention that we're thinking about doing that.
Yeah, possibly changing board meetings to Tuesday in order to give everybody more time with the agenda, to go over things, to have questions to answer things, so we're not getting caught short and needing to take more time.
I gotta do.
So,
I knew you would love the idea.
It's Monday, we get to, do a last minute speaking or get some advice or speak to somebody on some information to get to me, but at least we have Monday.
So then that would mean Mondays for every meeting, president and vice president.
well, but no, we should still do that
On Friday?
beforehand, so everybody has the agenda
Okay,
over the
so we'll
weekend,
still
so
keep that appointment on
board
Friday.
members have time to,
But it just gives us time, Mondays are tough night.
yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the board always accommodating me, but they don't have to do that anymore because
Fine.
But speaking of another thing, we were talking about finishing up our superintendent evaluation at an evening meeting. We were talking about Tuesday, the 28th. Does that work for everyone here?
Let's do it.
That would be, yes, next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. Okay.
Better send David something.
Yeah,
Just the executive board,
this would just be for you.
Oh, so
6 or 7.
Whatever works for everybody. But,
it's the buttons.
oh, hey, there we go. I like that idea. Right. What's that? Boards having a pizza party.
Okay, so what time?
We'll say 6 o'clock. We're gonna shoot for 6 on Tuesday, the 28th. We'll check in with Dave.
Yes, got that?
Do it virtual or do it here?
No, we'll be together.
we'll be together.
You want to do it in the business center or in the library?
Whatever's easier.
Easier is the business now.
Yeah, it would be easier. Okay.
They'll be working in here anyway, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
Hopefully.
thinking.
No.
Interrupt anybody.
Yeah, no, that would be nice, because I had it all set up really nicely.
Actually, when they're done, they can go after the door, the one door that has the swipe on it.
Exactly.
Is it
We don't worry
behind?
about locking up behind you.
Great. So, all right, anything else then? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much.